All right, so here I am. I've got all the orange on there, and now I'm doing the really difficult, time-consuming part of the process, which is, okay, you can see, sorry about the glare. I want it to look like that, right? So now that I've got the orange base coat, I'm going to do the black parts next, the really solid black parts. So in order to do that, I have to tape off all the orange parts so that when I spray the black on there, they don't turn to black and they stay orange. So it's really time consuming and really slow because I don't have probably what are the proper tools to do this. I've got my green tape and some masking tape and some scissors and an X-Acto knife and things like that. A little more progress, but still a long way to go. All right, so I'm done taping this bad boy, and I'm not exaggerating when I say I probably spent about 4 hours at least doing this. So again, it's supposed to look like that. It was really difficult and time consuming because I had to tape the orange parts. So basically I'm taping the entire guitar and leaving the black parts exposed. So it was pretty hard to try to do that. A lot harder than you would think because you're not cutting out the black shapes and then taping those onto the guitar. You're cutting out the shapes that go around the black and taping that where all the orange part is. Much harder than it looks. So I have accepted the fact that this guitar is not going to look exactly like that one. At least as far as like the measurements and the dimensions of the shapes. It is just too hard. And I'm basically just eyeballing it because I can't really measure it because it's just a picture on a computer screen. I mean, I can kind of get an idea, but a lot of my shapes, I started off with this one right here, and I really tried to make it as exact as I could and as close as I could. But then the further I went along, I realized like this is way too hard to get these exactly the same. So I just told myself, all right, this is going to be a passable version. It's going to look like this guitar, sort of, not exactly, but it'll just have to be good enough because, like I said, even just doing it like this, I spent like 4 hours, just insane. I'm completely sick of doing it. I don't even want to work on it anymore. Okay guys, so here I am. I got the guitar all taped off as best as I can. The back is completely covered because I want the back to just stay orange and I don't want the black getting on the back. So the exposed parts are what's supposed to be black. And then everything that's taped is going to remain orange, hopefully. It was a lot of work, took a lot of tape, a lot of time. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the whole process of painting all the graphics. It's all going to be in this one video. I'm going to do the black, and then on another day, I'll tape it off again and do like the white triangles, and then there's some more black stripes, and then a little bit more white, and several things that have to be painted, but I'm going to include that all in this one video. Disclaimer, guys. If you want to know how to properly paint a guitar and make it look professional and do all the right steps and do everything the way you should do, you're going to need to watch a different video because I'm probably not doing, in fact, I'm definitely not doing all the correct steps and doing everything that I should be doing. I'm just doing it the best that I can and hoping that it turns out halfway decent. Alright, so let's get started with some black. Here we go. Put it on there. Headstock. Looks completely black. but it won't be. All right, all done with the black. You can see like the whole thing practically looks black. A little bit of green there because I didn't have to do too much black over in that corner. I only did 2 coats. I didn't want to do 3 coats because I don't want it to build up too much, because I don't want it to be obvious that there's another layer of paint on top of the other paint, if that makes sense. Alright, so here it is after I took all the tape off. So you can see the black parts where it got painted and all the orange parts where it didn't get painted. Okay, here we are with an absolutely ridiculous taping and covering job. I know it just looks absolutely insane. I don't know how else to describe it. So I did like the big black pieces already for the paint, but I forgot to include these little black strips here and there. And there's actually one more, but I covered up that section anyway. So anyway, I need to do those 4. And then under all the little blue parts are some other areas of exposed orange where I'm gonna attempt to do sort of like a shadow. If you look closely at the original guitar or some of the ones that were painted by professionals, you'll see some of the black next to the like the solid black. There's some little parts of the black that sort of look like a shadow. I'm pretty certain that all that stuff was done with airbrushing equipment and techniques, which I don't have and I don't know how to do. So I will be attempting to do that with my spray can that I got at Walmart. And I'm going to spray it kind of from a distance and very lightly and see if I can get sort of a similar effect. I don't expect it to look like it does on the original, just something sort of similar that will, for me, will be good enough, I hope. All right, let's get to it. Okay, so here it is with all that stuff taken off again. You can see a few, like 4 extra little black stripes there, and some of the sort of shadowy parts there, like right there and over there and various places. It doesn't really look like the airbrushing, but what are you going to do? If you don't have airbrushing stuff and you don't know how to do it, you got to improvise, and that's how it looks. Okay, so here we are again with an incredible amount of taping off and covering up. I'm going to start applying some of the white designs. So this was actually much easier to tape off because they're just like straight areas and there's no like curves or anything like that. So I'm going to put some of the white on, and then I have to put more white on this under some of the covered parts. So I will have to uncover part of it and put additional white parts. And also the headstock. It's going to have 2 white solid triangles there. Okay, so here's how we're looking after I sprayed on some white and took off all the tape and coverings. So you can see it's looking more like a Van Halen guitar than it is the George Lynch sub camo that I'm trying to recreate here. And I think that's because I'm not using airbrushing equipment. I don't have it. I don't know how to do it. I'm just using, just a spray can and just spraying it on there. I tried to do like a light coat, and you can see, you can still see the black underneath it. So I didn't spray it real dark. So I was trying to make it like more transparent, but it still came out like darker than I intended. And they look really like stripes because of the tape, and again because they're not just being sprayed on with an airbrush sprayer or whatever it is. So I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to lightly sand the white parts so that they're a little bit more transparent and not so sharp looking. So I've done some sanding on it and I've scuffed up the white parts, and it actually looks pretty cool, I think. So they don't just look like solid white lines. They still don't look like they're airbrushed like the original guitar, but at least they don't just look like completely solid white lines, and that's about the best I can do with it, I think. Alright, here's how it's looking at the moment. I've added a little bit more white, a few more white stripes, and I didn't make those as dark. They're a little bit more subtle. Alright, it's coming along nicely. So now I got the triangles on there. You can see I put 4 triangles in there, mostly in the same location as the original. One there, one there, one over there pointing to the volume knob, and then one over there. Next I'm going to add some black lines that go through the white stripes, and then I've got to figure out how to add like some little rivets. I think I have an idea on that. Alright, the last part of the graphic that I need to put on are the little circles or rivets. I think they're rivets because this design is was based on the paint scheme of a Russian submarine. I think. That's the story I've heard anyway. That's what it's always been called. So in order to do the little rivets, I was kind of thinking like, how can I do that? Cut out a little circle and then paint over it? No, I think that wouldn't work out very well. I have decided I'm going to use the end of this pen. It's got the little circle there. It's about the right size. I'm going to spray some black paint on a piece of paper, and then I'm going to dip it in the paint, and then I'm going to just basically stamp it along the white parts where the rivets are going to go. And I think that's going to work. Let's give it a try. Alright, so there it is with the rivet holes or whatever put on there using the end of a ballpoint pen. So since I couldn't do the airbrushing, I decided I would make it look distressed, at least the white parts. So what I did was I sanded away on pretty much all the white stripes, so you can see they're not solid. So it makes it look like this is an old guitar that's been around for a while, and I kind of like the idea because actually the original guitar, the one that George Lynch had, was made in like the mid 80s, so that would be like a guitar that's over 30 years old at this point. And since this is also based on the Russian submarine camouflage design, you could also think of it as like, well, this is an old submarine, and if it was still sitting around somewhere, the paint probably wouldn't be looking very good. So that's the idea.